Five, four, three, two, one, and we are live. It is This Week in Irish Football, kind of slash the Irish abroad. We're going to take a look at all of the action from this past week. Whether it's Troy Parrott banging in the goals for AZ Alkmaar, Adam Ida banging in the goals for Celtic. We've got some strikers in form. And Callum Robinson getting amongst the goals as well with Cardiff. But we have a fair bit to get through, which we will not be complaining about. Festi Ebosele obviously getting his goal as well for Watford, but I'm joined by Tom. Tom, firstly, how was your weekend before we get into all of the action?
Yeah, good. Started off well with Bowes getting a win out in Dundalk, but kind of ruined there today by United putting in, classic United performance these days, but mixed, I'd say.
Yeah, well, just one sec. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I was just checking my audio. Yeah, look, I was happy Everton won. Shells went a point closer towards winning the league title, but we will be talking about that as it goes on as well. But yeah, look, Troy Parrott scored again today. I suppose we'll start with the highlights from this week, and yeah, Troy Parrott on the score sheet in Europe, scoring the winning goal for AZ Alkmaar in a 3-2 win. And then he scored again tonight, but unfortunately lost tonight. But still amongst the goals, and getting 4 goals a couple of weeks ago. Back amongst the goals now twice this week. It's great to see an Irish player in European football, I suppose, and league form playing for the team that are doing well, albeit they lost tonight.
Yeah, I know it didn't really work out for him, seemed like wherever he went in England, but just delighted for him that he's found this kind of brilliant situation for himself out in Holland. Like, obviously, the way he finished last season with Excelsior, he was flying, and now AZ, like, I don't know if people mightn't be paying attention to the Eredivisie, but they're flying themselves. They're second in the league, and he's joined second top scorer now with 5 after scoring tonight. So he scored the winning penalty in Europe on Wednesday, I think, and yeah, another one tonight. Got 4 obviously against Heronveen, so that helped out the tally a little bit. But yeah, he's probably the most informed Irish player you'd say out there at the moment, and probably leaves you even more confused how he didn't get a look in the last window. But yeah, no, he's flying.
The only thing I would say is Adam Ida had played those games, and he did start the season all right at Celtic, and obviously finished last season quite well. But Troy had finished this season, he started the season very well, with pre-season going very well, and then he had he was unlucky. I would say some of his goals were disallowed with VAR and stuff like that, and then look, it was a matter of time probably before he started scoring in that division. And I think it's good to see an Irish player going over there. Like Jonathan Afalabi hasn't really hit the heights for Canberra just yet, but he did get a goal, I think, in the last week for Canberra. Jack Byrne used to play with them as well. So it's interesting he joined that club, and I wonder if Jack had anything to say or to influence the move at all. But no, look, it's a great week for him. I would say now, Alameda, I don't know if you saw the goal for Celtic, but remind me of that goal. Was it Giroud scored for Arsenal a few years ago? When it was like a tiki taka play. It was a really nice goal. I think Giroud finished it off. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was unreal goal. I couldn't I know he only he did the easy part of it, but still had to finish it. It was an unbelievable goal, and as you say, other than Troy, he's probably like right up there with the most informed Irish player. I think it's 4 goals in his last 3 games. He's been, really starting to hit form with Celtic again, like he was at the end of last season, and yeah, just hoping that that can translate into the Ireland team now going forward. But seems like he's really kind of at home now at Celtic. He's really fitting in. Obviously, Kyogo is always going to be the main man up there while he's there, but he's really kind of found a nice spot for himself, kind of coming off the bench and scoring bags of goals at the moment. I know in Europe there last week, and again in the cup before that, and now, yeah, an unreal goal there, just gone.
Yeah, that's what, like, with Ida, I don't get it because he keeps coming on as a late sub and then he gets the goal. He's a bit like Solskjaer in that sense, but we'd like to see him starting more games, and then that way, if he is starting more games and scoring around the regular, then obviously we know then with Ireland, that's what we want him to be, is playing as long as he can, starting games and making sure that his physicality and stuff like that can last, and the endurance can last a match. Because I think that's been a big problem when he gets a lot of injuries over the years. And the Celtic might be managing him in that sense, and it's working well because he is in good form. He's coming off the bench and he's getting goals. His time is limited to get the goals, so that's the only thing I would say. But another striker we would say is in form. Callum Robinson scored a really nice goal for Cardiff. They lost 4-1 to Hull, but still nice to see him among the goals as well.
Yeah, kind of classic Callum Robinson sort of goal, ball in behind, running onto it, and 1v1 with the keeper, smashes it into the top of the net. And I don't know, maybe his time, at the top of his game with Ireland is probably past him, but he's still young enough. Like, he's 29, he could still, how many strikers have we seen with Ireland kind of come into form later in their career?
McGoldrick.
Yeah, Daryl Murphy, loads of these players. There still might be a role for him there. Obviously, Johnston was injured the last window, but maybe there's a spot on the left. So, like, he's kind of starting up front for Cardiff. But yeah, no, great to see him get back on the score sheet again.
Yeah, I think, a few years ago when we had nobody, he was kind of our go to guy for Ireland. And like you say, with the emergence of the likes of Evan Ferguson, maybe Troy Parrott was kind of in and around there. Michael Obafemi as well, popping up around that time, doing well for Swansea at the time before he moved on to Burnley then. But I think just the emergence of those kind of players kind of moved Robinson on. It hasn't been all great and rosy at Cardiff for him previously. I don't think he did too well there last year. And I think the fans were on his case quite a bit. But he seems like a very likeable character. Like most people you'd speak to seem to really have a lot of time for Callum. So it'll be interesting to see, can he maintain some form there? He was obviously picked for the last international window. So maybe Hamer has taken a liking to him or whatever. But another Irish player in really good form is Jason Knight, and he came off, or sorry, he didn't come off the bench. He helped Bristol City get back into the game last week with an assist for your mate Sinclair Armstrong and helped them win the game. And then today he scored a really good header for Bristol City. And for me, he reminds me, and people might laugh about this, and people are definitely going to slag me for my pronunciation of the name Cahill. But Tim Cahill, who used to play for Everton, he's very similar to Jason Knight in my opinion, in terms of Cahill was very good at the dark arts of the game, but also scoring goals from midfield and just being a nuisance. And I see similar values in Jason Knight, and I think that Jason Knight, as long as he's fit, he should always be in that Ireland team, just because he's well able to win us fouls anywhere on the pitch. He's snidey as well, because I think sometimes we can be quite nice in that sense, that we don't know when to take a foul. He does, and he can score the goal and he can assist the goal. So for me, I think he brings a bit of everything for Ireland, and it's great to see him among the goals again. And he's captain of Bristol City, and I can see why.
Yeah, as you say, captain this year with Bristol. He's seriously important player for them. And what he brings is like tons of energy, tons of effort. He makes up with that for what he might lack in kind of quality on the ball. But I still think he's a very important player to have and useful for Ireland. And yeah, it was a bullet header there against Swansea. I wish he was, as accurate with his head against Greece when he had that chance crossed into him. I think he had a great chance in the second half of that game. But no, very important player for Bristol City. And yeah, great to see him on the score sheet again, because they were a bit unlucky with I don't know if you watched the match. They were a bit unlucky to concede it. Looked like their keeper might have got fouled, and the goal that Swansea scored to go up, and Sinclair was playing that match as well, as you're saying, and he had a couple of chances. Played well though, other than that, and yeah, good to see another Irish fella getting on the score sheet there.
And there was 5 players involved in the Bristol City lineup there from Ireland. Max O'Leary, Sinclair, Jason Knight, Mark Sykes, and there's probably one more I'm missing. But just good to see a lot of Irish inclusion there. Festi Ebosele got his first goal for Watford, a lovely left-footed finish against Sunderland. They went on to win the game 2-1. But he scored the first goal in that game. It was very calmly taken for someone who's not really known for his goal scoring. But I did watch his after-match interview, and he did kind of come out and say that he did like playing in as a wing back in a team that liked to attack, and in a really good team and stuff like that. And he likes to get amongst the goals and assists. For me, I thought he should have been included for the games against England and Greece, just because I think we were lacking a bit of pace in that department. I don't think Matt Doherty has been living up to the hype that I suppose he sees himself and some fans see him as. But I think with Seamus getting picking up an injury and stuff like that, and he's been out since, that I do think Festi should have been amongst the squad. Just knowing Seamus's injury record and the fact that that's a place where we really lack pace. Um, Left back and right wing back, we really lack pace there. Robbie Brady obviously doesn't bring pace, but he does bring a lot of quality on the ball. But when we want to kind of exploit other teams, that's where we're kind of lacking. I think someone like Festi, I think we need to eventually start moving on from Coleman and Doherty. Nothing against them personally. You know how much I love Seamus Coleman. But I think for Seamus' sake, I think he'd be better off if he goes into the Ireland squad, great. Let him go into the Ireland squad, but I don't think he should be starting as many games or playing 2 games in quick succession, because I don't think his body's able to do it anymore. If you are picking Seamus Coleman in a team there, I think you pick him for the big game. And you go, right, well, we're going to have you there for the big game. And if it's a really pacey wing or whatever, Seamus is a good enough 1v1 defender to do that. But if you want to also have another dynamic where we might be chasing the game and we want a wing back to get involved, Festi's the perfect anecdote there, in my opinion. He's learned his trade in Italy. He's gone over there. He knows how to defend properly now. He was up against Man City last week in the Carabao Cup and had done quite well, I believe. Up against Jack Grealish, ironically. And yeah, so I think him getting amongst the goals now, that'll bring a bit more of a light on him. And hopefully Hamer might look at that closer to the time. It's 2 weeks away till we play Finland and Greece. So I think that's something that we should be looking at, especially if players aren't playing. Like Seamus, I know is so invaluable for the squad, but he's not playing. He was out injured. But apparently he led the team talk to inspire the Everton team, according to Ashley Young. He led the team talk to turn the Everton game around there. So that kind of shows his quality and leadership either way.
Yeah, look, you definitely think of Festi as the kind of the future for Ireland going forward on that right side. Yeah, like obviously Coleman's been unreal, and he still could be useful for us in a sort of game where we need someone to do that kind of one-on-one job defensively. You might kind of give up that kind of defensive quality with Festi, but what you get with him is serious pace, serious physicality, and obviously a bit of quality as well. After seeing that goal, it was an unreal finish, like crossed in from the left side, and then he just a big sweep and volley into the far corner, and brilliant goal. Um, for someone you probably wouldn't expect it from playing at right wing back, but that system seems to suit him perfectly out there at Watford, and hopefully he gets a bit more exposure, for the Irish viewer, or even Hamer, if he's watching that, he must be have him in consideration now for the next squad. And yeah, obviously we spoke about it here. We were pretty disappointed with how Matt Doherty played in the last window, and Coleman is still useful, as I said, but definitely slowing down a little bit. And hopefully, I'd love to see Festi come more into the fold over the next, couple of years and months even.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of what we're all begging for us, to start seeing players coming through. Remember, like we were really harping on for Ryan Manning to come through last year to replace James McLean. I know James McLean probably didn't really like that, to be honest with you, but we were kind of going on at that, and now it's kind of a case of replacing Doherty more so than Coleman. In terms of, I know Matt Doherty might bring a bit of experience to the group, but the problem is with this group is they've experienced nothing but defeats. Really, the biggest probably win is either the game against Hungary or the game against Scotland. So I don't understand like whether you've experienced or not. What are you bringing to the international team? Because you haven't really done that much. From Matt Doherty's perspective, he's been in how many campaigns now since Mick McCarthy? You would say, when that was a long time ago now. And he hasn't really hit the heights in an Irish shirt that we all expected of him, kind of from when he was in his Wolves days. And look, I think Matt Doherty has done well with his kind of late blossoming career at club level. But I do think that Festi now, it's right and important that we start getting young players in and giving them caps and letting them kind of learn on the job, because as we've all known, and we kind of all know now, is that this job of this Irish team isn't going to be easy. But if you can start doing things like Kenny did, bringing in players and giving them the caps, giving them the exposure to the international football. He's played a year in Serie A. He's gone to their kind of owners, Watford's like their big club. They'll want to get them back into the Premier League. If he's back in the Premier League, he's coming up against world class talent every week. Not that there isn't world class talent in Serie A, but more so in the Premier League. So I think the this could be the making of Festi. I remember Wayne Rooney coming out and talking about him as well, and really kind of harped on about how good he could be if he really knuckles down and works hard. And that's what he seems to be doing. I do think that he's seen other players kind of come in there and take their chances, the likes of Obafemi and stuff like that. I think he's good mates with him, and kind of just I think he needs his moment. I think he needs maybe a goal or an assist to establish himself as a regular, because he's been in and out of squads, but he's never really nailed down a spot, or even like you look at Liam Scales, he's not a natural starter for Ireland, but he's in a lot of the squads just because he's steady and reliable, and you have him there. Bit like Jake O'Brien as well, a little bit too. I wanted to talk to you about him actually because Everton, they won, obviously. I spoke about Seamus Coleman and, Ashley Young saying the skipper's team talk at half time. The whole stadium could hear him. So he was obviously letting rip at the players, which is interesting because you look at Seamus Coleman, you don't really see him as that type of person. But obviously, when he's in amongst the football element of things, there's a different side to him, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. But on the other side of things, Jared Brantwaite came back in and was straight into the Everton team, and they win a game. And the thing that concerns me is his fourth choice now, Jake O'Brien, behind Michael Keane, who Everton fans will tell you is not a good player. Tarkovsky and Brantwaite are the two that, they're Dyche's golden boys. And Michael Keane is a bit of a Dyche golden boy, as is Dwight McNeil. Anyway, we're not going to go into all of that. But basically, Jake not playing after coming off such an impressive season with Leon last year. And I saw him sharing some stuff with Leon in Europe the other day, and you're kind of thinking, would have been better if Jake had stayed at Leon another year, get the European experience, just be playing, whether I think his price tag probably would have went up in that time, but it just at the moment, it doesn't look like the Everton move has turned out, is going to turn out too well for him. Whether that's going to remain next season after a year kind of bedding into the club and stuff like that, with Brandway probably moving on to a bigger club, it seems to be that's going to be the case. Everton done well to hang on to him over this window just gone. United were sniffing around him. I think bigger clubs will come in for him this summer, and I think that'll be the end of City or someone like that will come in from. But where does that leave Jake? Because Michael Keane's also out of contract. Does Jake then become the starter with Tarkovsky? Does Jake move on with the new owners that are coming in? So there's a lot of stuff up in the air on that. So I suppose I get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I can't really understand it. I've heard the talk coming out is that he kind of prefers players with Premier League experience, but I'd say it's probably more so the point you are making that he trusts Michael Keane and Tarkovsky, obviously working with them before, and you know, Brandwaite has obviously established himself as one of the better centre backs in the league now. I felt like it was a good move at the time going to Everton. Like I felt it was a place where he could definitely show his talent as a defender, because obviously, look, Everton are going to be battling at the bottom end of the table this season, you would think. Lots of defending to do. But yeah, I just, especially after the start Everton had, obviously a win this weekend, but I thought there might have been a change made there and he would have got his opportunity. He had definitely impressed in pre-season by all accounts, and even scored a great goal. I think I can't remember who that was against, but
Preston, I think.
yeah, maybe. And yeah,
Scored against Preston and Motherwell, or he scored behind closed doors friendly, but it was a very similar goal. He was telling me
yeah.
it wasn't shown on TV or whatever.
Look, I think he's a brilliant defender. I think even in an Ireland shirt and the sort of short time where he's gotten a chance with the international team, I remember he played against Portugal in that game that we lost, but I still thought out of the players who were out on the pitch that day, I thought he impressed the most. And it's just a shame now that he's not really getting a look in at club level. Maybe, I don't know, if this continues, he might get another move or even a loan move, maybe. But yeah, it's disappointing to see him not getting in.
Sorry, my dog was barking there. That's the joys of live TV. But yeah, look, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens kind of during that January kind of period of, where injuries will pick up and this and that, and whether Jake will get a run, and if he can get in, can he stay in? because he was used against Villa, and you are right, it is this thing of this Premier League experience thing that Dyche is obsessed with. I don't know why, but he is obsessed with it. So we just kind of have to deal with it, I suppose, in that sense, and
But
wait.
Brandwhite didn't have any when he put him in. And, he
He
still
was
got a
forced to
chance.
put him in though at the time, and Brantwaite was just so good at that stage that he couldn't take him out. So, um, yeah, but Michael Keane's been a hazard for a long time now for Everton. So it's just amazing the fact that he would play Michael Keane over Jake, and then as soon as Jared comes back, Jared's straight in the team. So it speaks volumes about Brantwaite and how highly regarded he is. But yeah, what else is on the agenda? Killian Phillips scored for St Mirren in a 2-1 defeat to Motherwell, sorry. And then there was four players who I know you wanted to talk about that were involved in Ipswich's draw with Aston Villa. And Jack Taylor played very well when he came on. And you think he could be an option for Ireland. Why is that?
Yeah, well, first of all, like the two players who started, Ogbenny and O'Shea, probably great start for Ipswich, but got a bit difficult as the half went on. Ogbenny kind of, we're so used to seeing him take over games on the right wing, but he just never really got a look in kind of in this game, never really got involved. A lot of Ipswich's attacks come down the left hand side with, Leif Davis, and they had Clark there today, but Ogbenny kind of struggled to get involved. Mistake for Ipswich on their first goal that equalised for Villa. Not O'Shea's fault or anything, but I thought other than that, I thought he played very well, was very assured at the back. Then second half, like you were saying, Taylor came on kind of halfway through the second half, and yeah, he looked very good. I thought he was very tidy, even sort of longer range passing. I thought he was excellent, and yeah, like we've spoken about it here, the issue with the Ireland team is clearly midfield. We don't have enough options in there, don't have enough strength and depth. And I just think he could be another option. He's not gonna blow anyone away with his play. He's not gonna come in and be the best player in the team. But I think even just as competition, he could definitely be an option in that sort of holding midfielder role, or even further forward, he could do a job. And then also Smodics came on kind of late in the game, didn't really get an opportunity, but Taylor, I was impressed by him. Even last season in the championship, he was very good. And yeah, I think he could be an option going forward.
Yeah, well, as you say, we don't have enough options in that pivot position. And that was evident when Josh Cullen got injured. So Jack Taylor was called up previously under Kenny, and he was coming through the ranks with kind of Peterborough at the time. But no, he's someone that's been on the Irish radar for quite a while. Someone that they think really highly of. So it'll be interesting to see if he can maintain some level of form coming up into the international window coming up now, and whether Hamer's been watching these games, or what his thoughts are. Will he put a stamp on his squad this time around? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting in that regard of who actually comes in, and will this actually be Hamer's first squad that he will actually pick? Because we know that John O'Shea and Paddy McCarthy were the ones who picked the last one. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting. I think that squad should come out probably at some stage this week, because the games are on the following week. So I think yeah, it'll be this week when the squads are announced. But yeah, look. Then just lastly on the kind of overseas stuff, there was obviously an incident with Idemo Amaku and Robbie Brady as Preston played Millwall, and yeah, Amaku got sent off for. It looked like he hit Robbie Brady, but not as hard as Robbie Brady made out. Bit of play acting there, but it's interesting to see that two lads who kind of come from the same. How would you say same? Well, they're both Dubliners, so they're kind of from the same area almost. In so I don't know how often you would obviously see that. I know they're not teammates, so to speak, just yet. If Idemo kind of continues, they might overlap or whatever. But I just kind of look at it and go, you don't really want to see that kind of happening between Irish players. But what were your thoughts on the incident? I saw it this morning.
Yeah, look, it was, as you say, a little bit disappointing to see, but still kind of, you have to laugh at Robbie Brady being like the veteran now at this stage of his career, and kind of golden Idemo into making a mistake like that. Uh, I know Idemo actually, and he'll know himself that he was kind of played in that scenario. Like he got Brady kind of came over and gave him a shove or something while he was on the ground, and Oidmo popped up, and
I think
I
it was a
suppose
knee in the back.
yeah, and then he caught him with his head in the chin, I think. And look, it was when you react like that, you're always, in danger of getting a red card. But I definitely think Brady made the most of it and kind of knew what he was doing in that situation.
Dark arts, they win you games. More of our players need to learn them. Yeah, he left himself wide open for that, but that's kind of been from the overseas point of view. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen again. But that's from that side of things. We'll move on to the League of Ireland and the title race that nobody wants to win, it seems. And yeah, the results obviously from over the weekend. The shock obviously being Pats beating Rovers 3-0. And then you had Drogheda turning over Derry City 2-1. Shells drawing 0-0 with Sligo. Dundalk getting beat by Bows 2-0, and then Waterford getting beat at home 2-1 by Galway. So yeah, your thoughts on the League of Ireland? Jesus, it's desperate to carry on at the top of the league, isn't it?
I know it, as you said, it seems like no one wants to go and win this league. It's as the results turned out, it actually, worked out nicely for Shells. They take another step closer, um, even though they only drew at Sligo. Yeah, Rovers obviously been on a great run recently, and that kind of stops their momentum a little bit with, Pats coming and hammering them at home. Really, I was at the Bows Rovers game up in Tala there last Monday, and like obviously Rovers got the win in the end, but it wasn't a good performance at all by Rovers, and even their fans weren't too happy about it. I know Bradley had to come out and kind of uh, try and look for their support again, because I know they just weren't happy with how the team was playing then against what you would think would be a weak enough Bows team. And yeah, kind of they got a little bit found out by Pats there on Friday. Uh, Derry again, it's like I've always thought this about Derry. They just always seem to never show up in the big games when they have a chance to take advantage of Shells and Rovers slipping up. That was big chance for them to kind of close the gap. But as I was saying, like it's ends up being a good week for Shells, even though they only draw another point closer.
Don't know why my light keeps turning off there. Yeah, look, it's a strange one. I was gonna go to the game tomorrow between Pats and Shells, but don't think I'm gonna go now. I'm probably gonna watch it at home. I just have too much on. But the Pats are the informed team here, and I think if Pats turn over Shells tomorrow, it leaves everything wide open again for another week. And then by the time the next week's fixtures are played, you never know who could be. Rovers obviously they fell at a hurdle there against Pats. But then I was reading something earlier that if Galway win the next 4 games or something, they're in contention to win the league. So it's just wide open, especially if Pats can beat Shells.
At the same time, like Galway, if they do, I'd be surprised now if they went and won 4 games on the bounce. But they're kind of looking over their shoulder as well, seeing Pats in such good form. Like that race for Europe is kind of getting close as well. Pats putting themselves back in the mix. Obviously, Sligo in there as well. Um, yeah, I would nearly just on paper with the teams, like you would think Pats have a lot of quality. They've come into form just at the right time. Uh, Galway, obviously, still a very good team, still tipping along nicely, and I would still probably fancy them just about to scrape the top four. But they're definitely looking over their shoulder, seeing how well Pats are playing lately. Great win, obviously, against Rovers, and Mealy at the start again. I don't know if you watched some of the highlights, but he was just even his movement off the ball, some of his first touches. He's brilliant player for the future. I don't know what kind of move he's going to get coming up, but he was excellent again.
Yeah, apologies. Sorry, my light was acting up there. I don't know what was going on, but it's fixed there now. Mason Mealy is going to be, I think, every bit as good as Evan Ferguson, if not better. Just the fact that he's starting European games, he's showing up against the top teams in the League of Ireland, and he's still the main man at the age of 17 now, isn't he? Looks every bit of quality that we can imagine. Would like to see him maybe move to a club where he'll get a top academy kind of development, but I think he's probably past that stage now, and you'd be looking at like Stephen Kenny being the Ireland manager. I think what he'll be telling him now will only help him in his career going forward, and I think that might be the only positive of him not moving, maybe to England or to another country to get that I suppose, that top level academy kind of football. But the fact of the matter is, the Ireland manager, the last Ireland manager before Hamer, is his manager now, and he trusts him and he plays him most weeks. And to have that level of trust at someone who's 16 or 17 in a men's league says to me that he's gonna he's just gonna go on, and I can see him breaking records. And I think he's just a brilliant player. Every time I watch him, I'm impressed by him.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you haven't watched much League of Ireland and you kind of hear about this young player and you don't, is he really living up to the hype? Just like watch a Pats match and just watch him for a minute, just see his movement and his first touches, even like it, everything about him is just quality. And you know, I know he hasn't, like, he's not at the top of the goal scoring charts yet, but that'll come as well because he gets himself in such good position. So I think he's a brilliant player. I'm sure he'll do brilliant once he does get that move.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, that's been our This Week in Irish Football episode. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments if you're joining us later. Huge thanks to anyone who joined us in the comments there tonight. Harvey says Darragh O'Shea is going to be a top centre half in England, and Jake O'Brien's move to Everton now seems like an absolute disaster. Yes, we didn't really speak about Darragh O'Shea, but I agree with you on that. And I agree with you, maybe at the moment anyway, about Jake's move. But I think as we edge closer to January, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Or maybe would he go out on loan or whatever. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back with more content during the week. We'll speak to you all later. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.